Hey y'all, this is David Ducker coming back at you, and today I'm going to be talking about villainous archetypes, the zealot, or zealot, depending on your pronunciation. So the zealot is a character who's duty-bound. This is a guy who can be lawful neutral just as easy as he can be lawful evil. He might be more interesting if he is neutral. This is a man who feels he has to do what he's doing. This is his duty. You know, whether he's sworn to a code of honor, and he's a goodly bodyguard of an evil king, but he can't betray his king, so he's going to do these dirty deeds because those are orders, and he's following orders, and his life is built around following orders. The code of Bushido. Or this could be a literal zealot in terms of someone who's following the commandments of their God. Whether they've been misled and they think that their God wants them to scour evildoers or heretics from the land with a filthy inquisition, or whether their God is fairly obviously evil, but they're still pledged to that God for some reason. It could be that they legit agree with the God's principles, or maybe the God has leverage over them. Like maybe the God has the soul of one of their loved ones, and in order to be with that person in the next world, he has to obey. Or maybe in order to secure that person's release from this hell, he has to damn his own soul and trade places with them. So he has to do what this God wants to free his loved one. Or maybe he thinks it's the lesser of two evils. And he thinks that if the main gods are in charge, there's going to be a worse disaster than if his God takes over. Because his God might be ruthless, but he gets stuff done. There's a ton of ways you can use a zealous character in your game as a villain. Just oppose them against the heroes. Probably my favorite archetype would be the worshiper of the dark god, especially if he's slightly insane, and he really believes that this is the right way, and that he could even be a nihilist and say, well, Cthulhu is going to eat the world. Everyone, you can't stop Cthulhu, but by helping Cthulhu eat the world sooner, it's already going to happen, so I'm not really causing any damage, because it's going to happen anyway. But by helping him, I'll be eaten first, and then my suffering will be the least of everyone. So coming in with a slightly insane character like that can be a lot of fun for me. So I love the dark gods, the evil rituals that they can pull across, the blood sacrifices, and the hidden temples, the ancient standing stones with hideous serpent men, bas-reliefs or glyphs of the black tongue. I love that stuff. But the zealot can be a really, really fun character to play, one way or the other. And I'm just trying to think if what would be some good examples from fiction of someone who's just doing their duty, but their duty is a horrible thing. So you could jump over to a lot of like World War II films. The Nazis, a lot of these individual characters aren't that evil, but they're following orders. They're duty bound, and some of them even realize their orders are horrible, and they still do it. And you start to ask, does that outweigh all of the other benefits of the character? If this character were born in a place with a good leader, would they not be a good person? It's an interesting story. There's a great film, Enemy at the Gates, and the main character is a Russian sniper, and his arch enemy is a German sniper who's been sent to kill him. And there's this great sniper duel takes place over several weeks. But you get to see the German sniper, he's literally a noble. He's an aristocrat. He's a gentleman. He appreciates the finer things in life. He seems to like the kind of guy who knows something about philosophy and history. And probably realize that his side is committing horrible atrocities. But he's committed to that side. He can't turn traitor. It's not in his personality. He can't disobey orders. That's not his personality either. That's not who he is. So he knows he's probably not on the right side, but he can't betray who he is. And he's still a bad guy, but he's a sympathetic bad guy. To me, he was, at least. So it's really, really interesting when you can get that across. It can be really, really fun. Now, this is a villain who, more so than a lot of other ones, the plot of your specific game, your story, will decide whose side he's on. Because it's so dependent on this code of honor or ethics or this religious code that, by changing that code, you can change which side he's on as a GM. So that's very interesting. You could look even at a lot of the Jedi from Star Wars. From my perspective, the Jedi are evil because the Jedi deny their fundamental humanity, their emotions. They won't let you fall in love. They won't let you have hope for the future. They won't let you have happiness. They want you to be Mr. Spock and be completely stoic and emotionless, and sometimes that that kind of stoicism, that's lawful neutral, straight up. Like you take all of the pathos out, all you're left with is logos. You take the emotion out, you're just left with the letter of the law and the rules and this mathematical equation of what is good and what is evil. And it can come down to the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or the one. So that can be really interesting. Or if you look at the Matrix with the agents, they're almost robots. Like they've been specifically programmed to be lawful neutral and follow orders. Now, what's great about the character Smith is you start to see that they're not really robots. They are sapient to some degree. So you start to realize this is just a personality type that's been meticulously crafted to exterminate humanity. And in Smith's case, he enjoys it. And the machines don't want him to enjoy it because then he's evil. And evil does evil shit, like try to copy himself over the whole rest of the machine race. So they want to get a job done. They don't want you to enjoy your job because enjoyment is one of the things they don't like. They want you to do your job, and even if they recognize that their enemies of humanity are not necessarily evil, but they are their enemies. So you have to kill them without mercy, without compunction. So this is a really interesting storyline. Anyway, let me know if you've used zealots in your campaign. If you played a zealot before, I'd love to hear about it. I think that's my full ramble on the lawful neutral character type. Cheers.